Hi, welcome to Aksharam Weekly Update. Aksharam Weekly Update is an attempt to analyze the important events that happened in a week. This will help those who target UPSC and other central level and state level competitive examinations. Here we will briefly analyze the important events that happened international and national levels in the previous week. Today we are dealing with from those things that happened from June 17 to June 22. Let's start. We are beginning with in the international level. In the previous week, new government took power in South Africa. Cyril Ramaphosa took oath as the president of South Africa for the second time. But this time, with a difference. ANC do not have a majority this time. They only able to achieve 40% of the votes compared to the 57% of the vote they got in 2019. Since 1994, in the post-apartheid South Africa, ANC got majority in every elections. As we know, ANC, the African National Congress, spearheaded by the great Nelson Mandela, liberated South Africa out of apartheid and created a multi-ethnic democratic country. This time, the ANC is partnering with the DA, Democratic Alliance. It is a coalition government. Democratic Alliance has white leanings. And we know in South Africa, the white population is only 7% of the entire population. And in the opposition, it is MK party led by Jacob Zuma, who was the previous president and also one of the most prominent leaders of ANC previously. And also another opposition party is Economic Freedom Fighters led by J. Malema. And this is an unprecedented and uncharted water for South African democracy. And Jacob Zuma and Malema were criticizing ANC for aligning with the DA, which has pro-white tendencies. And let's see what happens in the South African polity in the coming years. And secondly, another important thing that happened in the previous week was a alliance or an important pact between North Korea and Russia. In the previous week, Russian President Vladimir Putin visited North Korea. As we know, Russia is engaged in a war of attrition in Ukraine, and they are facing heavy sanctions from Western countries. North Korea is a pariah state, and it is almost completely alienated from the rest of the world except China and Russia. And it is this alienation that brought together these two countries together. And this is a kind of a formal defense alliance. One of the important clauses in the agreement was that if some external country attacks Russia or North Korea, the other country will come for mutual help. A NATO-like clause. And this brings a close-knit alliance between North Korea and Russia. And it has ramifications in other areas, especially in South Korea. South Korea become very much agitated because of this, and South Korean leaders even said that they will think about sending arms to Ukraine, which will be a red line for Russia. And it will, of course, deteriorate the relation between Moscow and Seoul. And yesterday, American nuclear-armed aircrafts have reached South Korea, and South Korea and America is planning war games there as a reaction, as a reply against this formal alliance between North Korea and Russia. And it is all emerging in the context of a broader dispute that is happening in the South China Sea. Let's see what all happens in future. And another important development that is happening in the war front in West Asia, the war between Israel and Hamas is going on for the 8th month. And during the war, the Israeli government of Benjamin Netanyahu formed a war cabinet where the opposition leader Benny Gantz was inducted, and Eisenkot, another previous war general and political leader, was also in this war cabinet. But 2 weeks before, Benny Gantz has resigned from war cabinet, and it forced Benjamin Netanyahu to dissolve this war cabinet altogether. And he said that now onwards he will form security cabinets where his far right allies, Itamar Ben-Gvir of Jewish Power Party and Bezalel Smotrich, the leader of the party of the West Bank settlers, will be included. And it have serious consequences, because as we know, these both leaders, Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich, they are far right-wing leaders, and it will even hinder the ongoing negotiations for peace and ceasefire. The American-sponsored motion has passed in the Security Council, and serious discussions are going on, and this new security cabinet will be hinder for all these developments. And another development in this war front is the tension between Hezbollah and Israel is also rising. As we know, in the south, in the war between Hamas and Israel is going on. In the north, there is tension between Hezbollah and Israel is escalating, and more than 300 people, including Hezbollah commanders, have killed in the Israeli attacks in the previous period. And in the previous week also some important Hezbollah commanders were killed. And this has provoked Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of the Hezbollah, and he appeared in a video and warned Israel that if Israel increases the attack on Lebanon, Hezbollah will be forced to strike back heavily. And he also showed footages where Hezbollah radars took pictures of important security and military places within Israel, and he said that Hezbollah can easily target these areas. As we know, Hezbollah is not like Hamas. Hezbollah is a very strong force. Hezbollah was formed in the 1982 war when Israel attacked southern Lebanon as a resistant front, and it was heavily helped by Iran. And in the 2005, Israel has to vacate from the occupied areas in southern Lebanon because of the resistance from Hezbollah. So Hezbollah has very sophisticated missiles and other weapon systems. And if a full-fledged war is occurring between Hezbollah and Israel, it will be very dangerous, and its ramification will be all around the region, and it will shake the region altogether. So let's see. America is trying very much hard to bring the tensions down, but it is spiraling out of control. Let's see what happens in the future days. Another important thing, another conflict is happening. Not direct war, but a Cold War like thing is happening in the South China Sea, directly between Philippines and China, where America is in the background. In the previous week, fight has happened between Chinese military personnel and Philippine Coast Guards in the Spratly Islands, which is claimed by both Philippines and China. As we know, China claims all of the South China Sea. The South China Sea, especially the critical islands in South China Sea, most importantly Spratly Islands, but Vietnam, Philippines, Brunei, Cambodia, and Taiwan, they have counterclaims to China's claims. And even in 2016, China has lost a case against Philippines also in the international court. But still, in this few years, China has been escalating the tensions in South China Sea, especially with the Philippines. After Ferdinand Marcos Jr. came into power in 2022, Philippines has taken a direct charge against China. Prior to that, his predecessor Rodrigo Duterte was soft on China. He did not mind several Chinese incursions into the exclusive economic zone of Philippines. But Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Took a direct stance, and he is mostly aligning with the USA in order to counter Chinese aggression in these areas. And this tension is now escalating into a new level, and this South China Sea is emerging as a front of a new Cold War between China and America. So we know this is a very vital shipway, this South China Sea. More than $3 trillion of trade is happening in this area in every day. So much vital area. In the previous week also, India is also planning to develop important stations in the Nicobar Islands, and which is very close to Malacca Strait and part of the South China Sea. And India is also becoming an important player in this South China Sea Cold War that is happening. And let's see what happens in the in future. And it is sure that South China Sea will be the center of the geoeconomy and the geostrategic tensions in the coming days. And another important thing that happened internationally in this previous week, where Canada commemorated the first death anniversary of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Khalistani leader, and India criticized this decision. And Hardeep Singh Nijjar was gunned down in Sarai in Canada 1 year before. And he was the leader of Khalistan Tiger Forces, a Sikh separatist or extremist terrorist organization. And in September 2023, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau accused in the Canadian Parliament that India has a hand in this assassination. But he did not provide any credible evidence for that, and India has outrightly denied its involvement in the death of Hardeep Singh Nijjar. And in the previous week, when Canada commemorated his death anniversary, Indian Ranveer Jaiswal, the spokesperson for Indian Foreign Ministry, heavily criticized that decision and said that instead of this, Canada should commemorate the Kanishka bombings, where more than 300 people, where a flight was destroyed and more than 300 people were killed by Sikh separatists, Sikh terrorists. And this tension has also it's created a complete frosty relationship between Canada and India. Even the trade talks between Canada and India is on hold because of these tensions. And simultaneously, another case is also evolving in USA. The Nikhil Gupta, an accused in the plan to kill another Sikh leader, Gurbhat Singh Pannoon in USA, has been extradited from Czech Republic to USA 2 weeks before. In the previous year, USA has accused India of hatching a plan to kill Gurbhat Singh Pannoon, the leader of the Sikh for Justice, another Sikh extremist organization based in USA. And India has denied the allegation, but this has created some fissures in the relationship between India and USA. And let's see what happens in the coming days. And these cases are very critical for India in the diplomatic and international arena. And these are the important things that happened in the international level. Now come into the national level. On June 19, the Prime Minister has inaugurated Nalanda University. As we know, Nalanda University is was one of the greatest universities in the ancient world. It was founded in the 5th century AD by Gupta ruler Kumaragupta, and great Buddhist philosophers like Kumaragupta, Dharmakirti, and several other great persons were served in this and learned in this from this university. And Chinese travelers like Huansang was studied there, and he has wrote elaborately on the education system and other academic activities in the university. But in the 12th and 13th centuries, this university gradually became extinct, and it was in 2006 the then President APJ Abdul Kalam he put forward the idea of reviving this university. Then almost 17 nations, most of the nations from Eastern Asia, where Buddhism has prominence, also become associated with this project. And in 2010, Indian Parliament has passed Nalanda Act. And in 2014, the first batches of students were admitted into various courses. and the architecture was designed by B.V. Doshi, and it's almost more than 400 acres of green net zero campus. Very beautiful campus, a mix of both modern and traditional architecture. And the first vice chancellor of this university was Amartya Sen. The president of India will be the visitor of this university. Pranab Mukherjee was the first visitor, and the present minister is the President Draupadi Murmu. And now Aravind Panagaria is the chancellor of this university, and Professor Afay Kumar Singh is the vice chancellor of this university. And the revival of Nalanda University, Prime Minister said it also shows that India becoming a global power, and many disciplines like Buddhist studies, philosophy, comparative language, comparative religion, like this lot of courses are being included in the university, and hope this university will be the pride of India in the coming years. And another sad news that happened was the hook tragedy in Kallakurichi in Tamil Nadu, where more than 53 people were died. It happened because of mixing methyl alcohol instead of ethanol. From the Dhanbad hook tragedy in the 1978 onwards, India witnessed many hook tragedies. The tragedy happened in 2016 in Bihar, 2022 in Bihar, and also in the previous year in Tamil Nadu, also in Villupuram and Changalpet, hook tragedies were happened. And another sad thing that happened in the previous week was the train accident that happened in Darjeeling in West Bengal, where Kanchenjunga Express was hit by a wagon train, goods train, and more than 10 people were killed and lot of people were injured. And we can also remember the big train accident that happened in Balasore in Odisha in 2023 June, where almost 300 people were killed. This also comes into the discussion of the Kavach, the automatic brake system that Indian Railways is planning. And it also points that the Kavach system is very important in this regard, because most of the accidents are happening because of human error, lack of labor shortage in the railways, one of the reasons. Most of the workers are exhausted because of extra hours over. This Kavach system will be a safety valve for the railways. And another thing that became a big controversy in the previous week was regarding to NDA, National Testing Agency. Already there were irregularities in the NEET examination conducted this year, where credible irregularities and problems were raised, and it has been proved, and the UGC NET exam has been cancelled. And the CSIR NET exam has been postponed, and huge criticism is coming against NTA. These mafias were operating in Gujarat and in Patna, in Jharkhand, in several areas where question papers were leaked and alleged malpractices happened, and it points towards NTA and problems there. And the central government has formed a 7-member committee headed by former ISRO chairman Dr. K. Radhakrishnan, and this committee is tasked with proposing overhauling reforms in the NTA, and they are tasked with giving a report within 2 months. And it is a big problem that our education system is facing. And credibility, and NDA has to reclaim the credibility. And another important thing that happened in this week was the Patna High Court striking down the 65% reservation created by Bihar government in 2023. In 2023, Bihar conducted a caste survey, and this survey revealed that EBC population constitutes an important segment of Bihar's population. So, in the light of these findings from this survey, Bihar government increased the reservation from 50% to 65%, and now Patna High Court has struck down that that law by the Bihar government. And as we know, this jurisprudence regarding reservation has a great history from the C.R. Balaji case in the 1950s, then Devadasan case in the 1970s, and finally in the Indira Sahini case in the 1992, where Supreme Court declared that there should be 50% cap for reservation. And based on this, Supreme Court and various high courts have struck down the reservations recently given to Marathas in Maharashtra, to Jats in Haryana and Rajasthan. And the similar reasonings the Patna High Court have raised in order to strike down this law. And another thing is that a case regarding this 50 raising the reservation cap from 50% is now on the table in Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court verdict regarding this will be very crucial in the further lawmaking and jurisprudence regarding it. In 2022, during the when Supreme Court upheld the EWS reservation, in its judgment, Supreme Court said that this 50% reservation can be flexible, and this is an important statement from Supreme Court. In 2021, in the Pavitra case, Chandrachud, the Chief Justice, talked about the importance of reservation and its legal, moral, and jurisprudential basis reasonings. And the Supreme Court judgment regarding raising the cap from 50%, it will be very crucial in this regard. And another important thing from the judiciary was the bail given to Arvind Kejriwal by the trial court in the recent corruption cases against him. And within a day, Delhi High Court has suspended this this bail and agreed to hear ED in this regard. As we know, PMLA, Prevention of Money Laundering Act, is a very strict act. In this act, bail is an exception. It is very difficult to get the bail. To receive the bail, the court has to court has to admit that this person does not. There is no chance that this person will commit this crime, and further, this person cannot influence the further proceedings of this case if he gets the bail. So it is kind of a twin test. It is very difficult to get a bail in this PMLA. And the Delhi High Court's further verdict on this, it will be very crucial not only for Arvind Kejriwal but also in the further jurisprudence in the PMLA case. In the previous Supreme Court also raised some concerns regarding some provisions of the PMLA. Anyway, the appeal will also go to Supreme Court also. In that thing also it will be very crucial. Another important thing is that International Yoga Day was celebrated in 21st of June, and this time Prime Minister was in Srinagar. He led yoga proceedings there. In all around the world also, in different cities in the world, Yoga Day was commemorated. It was from 2014 onwards, UN has declared June 21 as the International Yoga Day, recognizing the importance of the yoga system. And the important thing was on June 19th, we celebrated the National Reading Day all around the country. And it is on the commemoration of the death anniversary of P.N. Panikkar, the great literary and library activist in Kerala, who spearheaded the development and the creation of reading rooms and libraries throughout Kerala and created a revolution in this regard. And in Kerala, from June 19 to June 26 is celebrated as the Reading Week. One important thing is to note that June 19 is the National Reading Day, but National Librarian Day is different. National Librarian Day we celebrate on 9th of August, which is the birth anniversary of S.R. Ranganathan. The man who developed library science in India. He served as the librarian in Banaras Hindu University for a long time. Then he served in Delhi University. He developed the modern cataloging system, the modern informational system, and he is regarded as the father of library science in India. So his birth anniversary on 9th August is celebrated as the National Librarian Day. So this thing also you keep in mind. And these are the important international and national events that happened in the previous week. In the coming week, we will discuss what all things will happen in that time. I think this was a very productive productive thing, and you can also further do your further readings on this and enrich your knowledge, and it will be very helpful for you in examinations and in the knowledge production in general. Okay, thank you so much. See you in the next week.